Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Hey, yo, everybody, it's Johnny5 Alive here. Welcome back to Project PlanCo. Today, we're taking a trip into the King Ghoster universe, as all our themed areas revolve around certain characters. King Ghoster is our star for the day. We're switching it up. We've done a little bit of everything so far. It's time to hit up some spooky. Kicking things off with the most important, King Ghoster's Carnival Station, as this is King Ghoster's Dark Carnival. Created by Chant for the Dark Ride, the music done by the Bitter Elegance for the Dark Carnival itself, and Plot CO1, the Carnival Station, is from Warmgar. All right, so here we go. Let's do this. King Ghosters. Ooh, I see some cool spooky doors. This alignment cube is being a little bit finicky, but I think I got it. It's on a weird angle. Okay, build height, all that stuff. We could probably delete these stuffs here. And holy good googly moogly. Oh, you dressed him up. Oh, that's great. I love it. The doors are sideways. Now, how's that work? Oh, does the ride... Okay, so that's the ride that goes through. So I have to probably set up a trigger, right? Yeah, you got all these rules here. Sequencers. Add a trigger for the point for the doors. Attach it manually. Add trigger point on ride. Attach sequencer. Follow the arrows to place the trigger points. Okay. Trigger point there. I'm assuming you just want me to trigger the doors, right? Or is there... Oh, there's a sequencer here. Sequencer for which? So I'm assuming the sequencer is for... Did you cover it in a box? Oh, it's backwards. Okay, I see. Is there another trigger? Okay, so trigger points over here. Okay, let's try this out. So we got Chance Ride here, and we are going to go into add trigger sequence. And, ooh, she's already got triggers here. What is 25 and 26? I really hope I don't screw anything up here. TMs and start. Okay, so we're gonna add a trigger. It's 27, and we're gonna go station, or I'm gonna name it Warmgar after the creator. Warmgar trigger. Oh, what a mess. Look at all these triggers. 24, 25. Why don't I see it? Did it get merged in with 26? Is there no way to select a trigger and focus in on it? Because whenever I add a new trigger, where's it added to? Oh, it added it here. Wait, what? Let me undo what I've done. I never added a new trigger. I just changed start. Okay, here we go. Warmgar trigger 1. Yeah, it changed it to 28 and now it's gone. Wait, what? Undo. I guess I'm getting kind of confused because when I name Warmgar trigger 1, like when I name it, it becomes trigger 1. And there's also trigger 1 here, which is really confusing me. How can both ones exist even though this one is technically 27? And that's where I'm like, what is happening to my brain right now? I hope I'm not screwing up the ride that Chant works so long on. But we add the trigger. Okay, so we've done that, and Warmgar wants it to trigger basically right as it hits the door, right? So it would be right after the ride starts. Add a trigger point from front of the doors, attach it manually, which we did. But why is it still named 1? I'm just gonna leave and then go back into the triggers. Okay, now it's 27 as it should be. That's why I was getting so confused. Okay, all right. And now add a trigger point on the ride, attach sequencer, follow the arrows. So we're gonna add one more, add trigger. It's 28. We bring it over here, trigger it here, and we're just triggering the door from my understanding. Connect objects 1, 2, confirm. And then we're gonna name this Warmgar trigger 2, done. Trigger point, edit trigger sequence, and now there should be Warmgar trigger 1 and trigger 2. So if I trigger 2, the door's open. And that's when the ride is entering back into the station, I presume. And then if we trigger number 1, why did those open? Oh, add a trigger point for the Add trigger point for front doors, attach manually. Add trigger point on ride, attach sequencer. Follow the arrows to place the triggers. I think I did it backwards. So basically trigger 1, we're going to delete it, connect objects, and this should be the doors. And then this trigger, which I put the doors on, we'll delete, and we'll connect the trigger sequence, if I'm understanding that correctly, and then we can hit done. So now, if the ride's coming through here, it's gonna hit Warmgar trigger 1, and the doors open. And then as it's coming into the station, it triggers this one early, which triggers the trigger sequence, which immediately opens the door. And then as it starts to come into the room, the curtains blow. Oh, and you can see him. Oh, that's clever. All right. So I think I could delete these setups. And just for good measure, maybe test the ride. So coming through here, doors open. So it worked. Now I just have to wait for it to come all the way around. So I'm gonna go fast forward. Okay, here it comes, I think. Yeah. Okay, let's get on. So we should hear the door open up. Yep, it opened. And then as we're coming through, the windows should blow. And there's the ghoster. Great. Okay, it worked. Hopefully the ride still works and I didn't screw anything up. All right, so that part is taken care of. Some little finagling there to get that to work, but not too bad. And not too bad at all. So let's take a look at the actual build itself. You took the King Ghoster, gave him a whip and dressed him up, a top hat. I think that is actually cleverly done and quite brilliant. I love it. There is a sign here that we can write on. I guess, I don't know if you intended just to leave it open for me. Dark Carnival. Could change the font to the Spooky Ghost. King Ghoster colors. It's that like tealish cyan color, right? There we go. I don't know if that was intentional for me to leave it there. Ghosters I could put on there. I mean, King Ghoster, Dark Carnival. That makes the most sense to me. The name is in the character, and yeah, that looks great. A cute little build, lots of depth to it, different height variations. It has that spooky haunted house look to it, overgrown, fun colors on the sides. I love the drapes showing that he's in the prison there being captured. There was a little bit of misconfusion. Oh, there you go, you're Zoltan Ghoul. I love it. I can see why you wanted to incorporate Zoltan Ghoul, and he turned out pretty cool. But I love it. Oh, and he's coming out of a little coffin there. That's great. Yeah, the Zoltan Ghoul thing looks phenomenal, gotta say. That looks great. So yeah, there was a little bit of confusion, a little bit of back and forth, both just from like the original conception all the way to chant. We're playing the telephone game with this project, but you know, it's just the way it happens. We have a plan. Let it go from there. So, you know, each of the characters represents a different area, sort of, to an extent. Like, you know, we have Geppetto with the ice cream, and the whole thing is the gelateria, and this little shop here. So the centerpiece for this character is in, you know, the shop is the centerpiece of the area, which is now represented by the character Geppetto, and it represents all of that of World's Fair Italy, right? And same could be said for each and every one of our characters' areas, and so on and so forth. Now there are some like little areas where it's combination, like the big city here. We have Chief Beef and the police station, and he is part of a ride that's mixed in with the Pizza Bandit, but you guys get where I'm going with this. So this Dark Carnival is intended to be King Ghoster, but even Chant kind of lost it in translation, and the only part she incorporated him ever was in a cage off to the side. And she thought it was kind of cute because it's like the carnival took over and it got out of control, and now it's like his ride overtook him, and that's why it's so terrifying that even King Ghoster doesn't even have things under wraps with his own ride. But he he's tucked off to the side in a cage, and it's a bit of an afterthought. You see him here when you're coming into the area, and it says King Ghoster's Dark Carnival. So we wanted this area to feel like, okay, you're coming into the spooky area. King Ghoster is the character of choice, but as you're going in, other than seeing him there at the entrance, you had no idea that this was actually King Ghoster's ride at all. Warmcar asked if he could do Zoltan Cool, which is the claw or the genie machine or whatever. There's a shop in the game for Zoltan Cool, and yeah, it's the vintage. He's part of the vintage pack. Interesting. I didn't realize that. But there he is, right there. And he vintage. He does have this carnival vibe. So Warmgar wanted to kind of use that and do like a Zoltan Cool ride. And I was like, well, Zoltan Cool, we never drew a character for him, and we didn't bring him to life. He's not really prominent. But it's kind of fun in the fact that it works very well with the whole dark carnival vibe. So I definitely think he could be like a side character there. But Chant never did a drawing on a Zoltan Cool or anything, so I was like, well, I don't want this to be a Zoltan Cool ride now and overtake King Ghoster. But you know, there's some interesting things. I, for one, didn't realize it was part of the vintage pack, and just in the last episode, I believe it was, I was talking about how we don't really have like a vintage area, but I never really thought of vintage as its own area, because most people look at as vintage as like additional side content that is like really just dressing on the cake, right? You use vintage for, like I believe some of these lights here, these letters even, I believe those are part of vintage. So if there's anywhere to use vintage, it's like sprinkled in. Works really good for the carnival. Zoltan Cool's a part of that, and we have what now is like the vintage quartet. We added them in the last episode over here in fantasy. So you know, like vintage has its areas sprinkled in, or its pieces, and most people use the pieces as an accent. So very interesting to see that Zoltan Cool is actually a vintage character, but I do agree that it works very, very good for a carnival setting. So the inclusion here as a secondary character is quite fun. I like it. I think the basic shape character is amazing. So Warmgar knocked it out of the park there. But I was like, just make sure that this is King Ghoster's Dark Carnival. Maybe we could add the sign up here one more time, because it is the entrance. I'm not sure how big this is. How big would that be? Oh, they're individual letters. Whoa. And 2 of each. Interesting. Now that I'm looking at it though, I think we should recolor these letters. Something I may do later, because I could barely make out the purple on them. And yeah, like that would look way better. I think that pops. I can't make out the purple whatsoever. Yeah, I think that looks way better personally. Although it's like teal on teal on teal on teal, but yeah, that purple's just not working for me. I see the Dark Carnival, I just don't make out the purple. So I'm gonna have to think on that, but I definitely think we should, well, maybe I'll just do it. So maybe instead of, maybe we could go with like a yellow or like a cyan. So you have like, yeah, maybe a cyan works pretty good, because you already have the blue background, and then the carnival letters are the other ones. I mean, it's not hard to change, but just making an executive decision that, I don't know if it was Chant that did this or if it was Batch, but we can all agree that now you can actually read that it says King Ghoster. It got washed out. So yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. I think that looks pretty good. Do we need to add another King Ghoster here? I don't know. I think it's fine when you get in here and you see him in the crypt or the coffin. So yeah, this turned out to be a really good build, even though like I feel like King Ghoster, he has a presence now. I guess you can see him through here. Yeah, King Ghoster's Dark Carnival. And I'm happy to see that King Ghoster has officially solidified his place in this Dark Carnival. He's on the front there. But then he got, you know, originally he was the carnival, I don't even know what you call that. He's the carnival character, and then he got caged up. The demons that he put as attractions and stuff throughout his Dark Carnival here overtook him, and now he's in a cage. So good job to Warmgar to run with the Ghoster character to dress him up, but also incorporate your Zoltan Cool, which you wanted to do, which is part of Vintage, and I think that plays really nicely with the carnival aspect of everything, and that's freaking great. So really happy to see all that come together, but we have more spooky to do in today's episode. I'm going to leave the volume cubes, as I mentioned. If anyone wants to change anything or has second thoughts, for whatever reason, we'll just go around and delete the cubes later. It's fine. Hopefully none of them get stay there for the final park spotlight. I'm sure we'll get them all though. I need a builder sign. This little area here. Do we have any builder signs? Why don't I see any builder signs? Here we go. Belissaria, you are now the proud owner of this. Well, if I put it there, people going into queue might confuse that. Did Chant get a sign? Like build by Chant? Dark Carnival. Is there anywhere along this way that it says built by Chant? I don't think it does. Huh. Oh, this is the exit, and this is the entrance. Wouldn't be an episode if I didn't go up an exit, right? Wait, this is the exit? Okay, I totally forgot about that because originally the queue was kind of like unthemed or unfinished, and I forgot it goes down here. You hit it so well with the smoke. All right, for some reason I thought that was the entrance. So yeah, we need a ride by Chant, right? Unless it's somewhere here and I missed it, but Carnival Crypts. So probably fitting that when you get on the ride, well, I'm just trying to think. Probably as you come up the queue, we can have a sign here somewhere. Yeah, maybe here. And then I name it, edit, ride by Chant. And now I just got to figure out where the heck I put Warmgar. I think I could put it right out front. I guess this is the back because you leave through here, but it's the front because you see it through the fence. Okay. I think here works because then when you look through the fence here and you look at the carnival, you can see that the build for that carnival is from Warmgar. When you come up the queue, you can see that the ride is by Chant. Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that works for me. And if anyone has any suggestions, feel free to throw them down below, but I think that works. So just some behind the scenes. I'm looking at the time now. It says 30 minutes. I don't know how long it is for you guys, but this is one of the ones where I feel like I'm chopping out a lot. I was fiddling with triggers and fiddling with things. So yeah, we definitely ate up a lot of time with the first one. But I have plenty for today. So we're going to move on to the next one here. I'm wondering if I have enough time. I did order some food and it's on its way. So I'm trying to do a split episode where I tie them together between a lunch break. So we're looking for CO2. CO2. Oh, it's this guy over here. Perfect, because originally it says here German bit spooky, and I'm kind of curious because it's said to use on the form to use King Ghoster, but in the actual park he's not here, and that's where I was previously talking about how King Ghoster got lost along the way. Just the only presence he had was in the little cage over here. Is he not the master of all things spooky? And then I wanted his presence to be a little bit louder here, which Warmguard did fantastically, and I'm very happy about that. With the addition here, there, and over there, we now know that this is the King Ghoster area. But all I wanted was a spooky house to represent the spooky pack, and that's where all of this stuff came. I just wanted a spooky haunted house somewhere in this area, maybe here as the boarding station, I don't know, off to the side, squeaked somewhere, and Batch was like, in order to make it work, he put it here, and in the form it literally says, the goddamn mansion, with a tongue face emoji. So here's the freaking goddamn mansion. But you can't just have a mansion here, so Batch went ahead and made like 50 other ones. To be exact, 16. So now we have a whole Spookyville. And now it's like, shouldn't King Ghoster be the leader of Spookyville? And what is the Dark Carnival? Did we even need the Dark Carnival if we had just built a spooky area instead? Well, now I guess, more is more, right, guys? More is freaking more. So that's what we have now. We have King Ghoster's Dark Carnival and an additional Planet Coaster Spooky DLC area at the top that has a giant log flume ride. There it leads all the way over here to Germany and sci-fi. There's an entrance to a spooky ride that effectively takes you over to that spooky area on the hill. So Batch made this King Ghoster's it's King Ghoster's ride, and that's where I was like, this is so confusing. Wormgar didn't think he was supposed to use the character, and Starport, I believe, is the creator of this one, and they thought that they had to use the character. And I was like, okay, let's switch this up. Wormgar, you use the character. Starport, you don't. This will be a generic ride. Because it's in the German area, Batch requested that it be slightly German. So that is the backstory, long-winded backstory, but Starport 55 has made our station here, Log Flume Station, and I guess it should, I mean, it doesn't really look German to me, but I don't think it matters either. Holy moly, it's like falling over, it's crooked, and it's giving me, making me dizzy or something. I don't know what's going on there. All right, I think these are pretty much lined up. So rather than this being King Ghoster's station, I think I can delete these cubes on this one. It's just a spooky haunted house. Batch kind of wanted it to be German vibes, like a German spooky haunted house, because it's, I mean, he had to put the station for the log. I mean, he didn't have to make a log flume, did he? I was kind of thrown off by the fact that Batch made a log flume, right? If you did make a log flume, which he did, it's the purpose for the log flume is to take you on a tour through this spooky area. There's no way for the guests to walk up here, so you have to have a ride that takes you through there. And if you have a ride, where's that station gonna go? There's no room for it in the carnival unless we expanded it. So this was the only open area that would logically make sense. So if it's the entrance, a ride to a spooky log flume, it should be spooky, but it just so happens to be in Germany and right before sci-fi. So, I mean, there's spooky haunted houses all over the place, all over the world. So it doesn't not make sense that there's just this random spooky house off the side of the German area. It's a little bit weird that it's tilting. It's throwing me off. Does kind of block the sightlines of the Cosmic Kingdom just a little bit, but it works because the Cosmic Kingdom's more on the left. But it is a little crampy in here, isn't it? Just a little bit. That building's pretty big. I was always wondering what the sci-fi area would look like later on, and now we can't see because there's a giant building falling into it. You can kind of see it though. You can see Cosmic Cow back there. It's quite okay. I do love how crazy and randomly tipping it is and how big it is. It's pretty cool. I'm not mad at it. It's pretty awesome. So if we go in here, we can see all the details on the inside. There's the log flume coming up there. Very cool stuff on the interior. It's all broken down. It's in shambles. There's all these coffins, and then we get up. So yeah, I mean, I'm actually probably happier that we made the decision to not go with Ghoster, because we would have a little bit of like, why is Ghoster here in Germany and right next to Cosmic Cow and them, and it's just a generic spooky house. So it might not like totally look like a ride entrance. You will have a hard time missing it. Maybe we can and add a sign here that just says log flume, spooky log flume or something, and that way you know to go in. But the guy's standing right here, you know it's a ride of some sort, but most people would be like, whoa, it's a log flume. It'll definitely throw you off. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that it all worked out like this. I'm very happy with Wormgar's station here. It's great that you added in your Zoltan Cool, and it actually turned out great as well, and that we just have this random spooky building over there, which also looks pretty great, and that we have a log flume. So good job to Batch riding a log flume, because it's like, yeah, we need you make a theme park, you do a project like this, and how could you not have a water ride of some sort, whether it be a water cascade, a river rapids, or a log flume. So sneaking that in last minute there is great. While it does feel more suitable to have it over in the tropical area, we have so many good rides already with the adventure coaster and the I guess this is a water cascade. Yeah, the Captain Lockjaw ride is a water cascade. For some reason I forgot and had it in my mind that it was just a coaster, but yeah, we do have a water cascade coaster, but we don't have an actual water ride. And the Tiki is also a coaster. So we do have 2 water rides, I guess, with the Cascade Coaster and the Log Flume. And that really, we covered all our bases. We have a little bit of everything in this park, which is awesome. And I like the way that these stations worked out for our 2 spooky rides here today. So great job on this build here, Starport 55. Funny fact is, we're getting all the behind the scenes and lore in this episode. Originally, I was trying to contract Starport to do the Dark Carnival. He's the guy that I wanted to do this ride. Originally, the first person I asked was Pixelated, which you guys may seen by now or will be seeing soon, their latest dark ride. Pixelated didn't want to do this because they were working on their dark ride, and I have him in my DMs right now saying the ride is ready. He submitted it, and we get to see Pixelated's latest creation. At the time of this recording, I have not seen it. So Pixelated couldn't do this ride because they're busy with what is probably coming up on the channel, if not on the channel already. Yeah, so I went to Starport, and then Starport was busy, so we went over to Chant. And then Starport found some time and eventually got to actually do a station for one of our spooky rides after all. Now, does this have any lighting? I didn't check the lighting on either of these. Ooh, I quite like that. Oh, that's great. That looks incredible. Oh, I wish there's a way to get some of that color in there. It's so plain during the daytime in contrast to the nighttime, but that looks phenomenal at nighttime. And how about warm gars? Very good. Very, very good. Yeah, I really like the way these turned out. Great builds. 2 great builds. I almost feel like this should be the episode in and of itself. I feel like I've talked so much about all of the behind the scenes stuff that definitely strayed off the beaten path of what I had planned going into this episode. But we got to get more. Do we have CO5 ready for this episode? No. Flo Merlin's working on that. The goddamn engine. But we do have more. So I'm going to move over to CO3 here after I take a short break because my food is very, very close. With the magic of video editing, I will see you guys in a second. All right. What's up next? Spooky Building 03 by Toroscon. And here they say, spooky blue building for Project PlanCo Log Flume. This building was a long abandoned church. And here's a look at it here. That has been taken over by the Dark Cultists. 273 pieces, including the sign and the placement cube. The fiery skull eyes are the only things that should be triggered on the ride. A sign has been placed at a decent spot to set the trigger, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so we're setting up a lot of triggers lately, but it's fairly intuitive and easy to do, so I'm not mad at it. There's a look at the blueprint there. They said there were setup instructions. Where? Setup instructions for the trigger. I don't see any. Ah, the fiery skull eyes. Duh. I think what they mean is, oh, I see. Ah, I gotcha. Edit trigger sequence, and we're gonna add one. That's 13. Drag it on over. I don't even know where to drag it. What? There it is. And I'll just name this Toroscon Skull. Connect objects to the trigger, and I'm assuming we just grab everything inside the skull. Hit confirm. Done. Wait, do I have to set a certain amount of seconds? Let me see here. I think you just turn them on, right? Let's see. If I hit play, they turn on, and then they turn off. Yeah, okay. Let's do like 10 seconds. I'm gonna try it now. Yeah, gives you enough. Honestly, maybe 30 seconds. Log flumes are pretty slow. Actually, just to play it safe, we'll go 60. Log flumes are so slow. There we go. There's a look at the nighttime lighting on the build, looking really good. And then as the log flume passes by, the skull lights up. We can have one coming in right now. Perfect. Nailed it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We can get rid of all these little sides now. I don't think we need the alignment cube. This build looks good. Yeah, abandoned ruins. Very fun, different. Building's dilapidated. It's great. We got some scraggly bushes, some overgrown stuff, some scraggly weeds, a little cult table here. Very, very fun. good scenery to pass by on the log flume. I think this log flume is actually going to be quite an amazing ride once we get all of these blueprints in. So why don't we go ahead and do another here. Undead Pumpkin Farm by Branjo. And I think, let's see, this is 05. So it should be, wait, is it 05? 04. So it should be this one. And I think I also have, no, I don't have the goddamn mansion. Yeah, Branjo's the next one. It's Advanced Builder Plot, 500 pieces. And they say on the workshop built for the log flume. That's it. So it's called the Undead Pumpkin Farmhouse. I think this is it. I was going to say it doesn't look like it fits the volume cube, but you got to just pull it up. Holy good googly moogly. That is a lot of freaking grass. Let's see how all that comes together. We go from the grasslands of the pumpkin farm, all green and fertile, straight over to the shabby, broken down undead ruins. So that's all been put in a group, deleted all one by one. Come on. I can't get this one. It's literally unselectable. How? Not even from underneath? Got it. All right. What's this say? Be aware of... Wait. Oh my God. I still have the setup guide in here. Whoops. Delete. This was so perfectly built to the volume cube. It's literally literal. There's pumpkins coming out of the walls. That's adorable. Look at this. Let's get on one of these logs. Woo. Wow. And then from that, straight into a ruin. There's gonna be so much random variety on this log flume. I kind of love it. It's gonna be crazy. Ooh, look at that lighting. That's great. Wow, wow, wow. Whew. Very good stuff. Some amazing builds. Why don't we just keep on plugging along? We got 06 in here, which is not my mansion, but probably the one over from it. 08? Where's 6? Oh, there's some down here. We got a mansion on the hill. Mansion on the hill by Silent Moose 67. It is a builder plot. There it is there. Wait, what? This can't be it. This is it. It doesn't appear to fit at all. What is this? Well, I'll excuse them. The builder ranks don't quite have the concept of plots down just yet. There's the volume cube. Where's the build? There it is. A little bit on the shallow side. Very, very much so. But it is a mansion on the hill. It works out fine. Yep. It's going to need a little bit of terrain work and integration, but yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. I think I could probably just touch this up here a little bit. These random wall pieces, seemingly for like no reason at all. Why not wrap it all the way around? I don't know. I mean, it's not too bad. I said I wanted one spooky haunted house from Batch, mainly because these are the pieces you get with Planet Coaster Spooky Pack. They allow you to do these dilapidated wooden walls, the boards, the fun rooftops, and then all the Halloween decorations like the pumpkins, the spooky ghosts, the crypts, the graveyards, and all that. You get one spooky haunted house, and it pretty much does it all, right? It just does the job for all of them. You don't need more than one. And that's why I just wanted one, because they all look the same. And if you get one really, really good one, I don't really feel like you need a bunch more. But, you know, as repetitive as they may seem, I think there's different styles and ways to do them, as you can see from this one here, as well as this one here. They all use the same concept, but if you get creative with them, you can make them kind of fun. But even between this, like Starport 55, I believe is like a master builder. This is a master build using like the Spooky Mansion pieces. And the last one we looked at is an advanced builder using this very similar, all things considered, right? They're not like, wow, that one does something so much different than that one. And then we go over to the beginner builder, and pretty much looks the same. Other than, you know, they decided to go with these crazy wonky tilts with some, perspective changes. But what else can you do to a spooky haunted house to really make it stand out? Unless you start like PlanCo-fying it, like, you know, Dark Carnival style, having monsters bashing out of the walls, and really comes down to the finesse of the decorations. It's the icing on top that separates what is seemingly the same cake across the board, right? And that's where I do think there's enough variation with haunted houses to warrant a lot of them. Now, you know, after doing a Halloween contest for rides and spooky Huntsman rides that went through haunted houses so many years ago when the Spooky Pack came out, I never ever did it again for the reasons I just explained. While people did make them stand out, there were like, you know, the top 3 winners who did the best ones stood out from everybody else's, but everyone other than that started to feel similar. So where am I going with this is, it'll be interesting to see how different all of the spooky houses are. So far, so good, even though this one's a builder one and it's more on the plain generic side of what you expect from a spooky haunted house. It's a little bit of a facade because no house is this narrow, but who's going to question it when you're looking at it from here, right? So it's just there as a scenery piece. That's about as generic as a spooky house as you can get while being pretty good at that. How elaborate are the other ones going to get? I have high hopes for this one here because it's up front and center, and it's the goddamn spooky mansion that I asked for. So I think having them all in and seeing the variations between them is fun, and it is good, and it does represent Planet Coaster Spooky, so I'm not mad at it. Whereas if we would have gone the way that I wanted to go, just give me one spooky mansion at the top of the hill or off to the side, that would have worked as well too, because, you know, like I said, there's a limited amount of things you can do with spooky. Because it's up on the hill here, we see a couple up there. It's intriguing. It's calling you over. I especially like this tilted one from down here. It's calling to me. It looks interesting. I want to go up there. I want to see what this place is all about. And by doing so, you get a whole smorgasbord of different creations. So at the end of the day, I think Batch made a good call on this. And even if we get a couple basic ones, I think that also represents, hey, if you're new to Planet Coaster, you can make some fun little spooky haunted houses just like this. And the next step up from there is to put a dark ride inside. So I think this is a pretty solid build overall from our builder here, Silent Moose. Could use a little extra decorations out front, like some stairs, a pumpkin, a rocking chair, a few things like that. But generally, it's pretty good. It's a pretty solid build, just lacks that last final polish. Sometimes the last 10% can often be the 90% of the work, right? Okay, do we have any more? Let's keep moving on here. And then I gotta go put the builder signs in. Silent Moose. Is that the last one? I got one more. Yeah, I wanted to include Enigmandra. That's right. Enigmandra is the spooky queen, and they have C15 for us. Where's C15? Whoa! It's a big boy plot. Wow. Okay, do they say anything on the workshop page? Let's pull this up here. Little spooky pumpkin scarecrow church. Enigmandra, where you at in here? Boom. Whoa. We got cubes? We got double cubes. Busting out the double cubes back here. Let's line them up. Not mad at the double cubes. Just can double check the other cube once I get one of these going. All right, I think I got this just about as good as I can. Looks like a cube to me over there. Let's go ahead and place it and delete the setup area. Ooh. Uh-oh. It says hide me. I lined it up with the cube. Why would there be a hide me sign? You want me to hide you? Fine. Is it really floating? It doesn't look floating to me. Usually the hide me sign is under the ground, but unless anything is floating, which it doesn't appear to be, then we should be good. Is this building floating? No. No, it is not. I mean, the grass, the lily pads and stuff, and these things would kind of align with how high that sign was. But I thought I nailed the cubes. Did I not? Almost. Okay. Well, I will give it another shot. It just seems weird to me that, like, I get the alignment cube all good. I'm gonna have to delete the blue thing first. I get the alignment cube all good, and then there's like an additional instruction that doesn't align with the alignment cube. Let's try this again. Okay, so I got it lined up there. Now we get the Z-axis, or I guess in this case it's the Y-axis. Yeah, Y-axis. And then there's a hide me sign. So if I hide the hide me sign, hide, hidden, gone, the alignment cubes are not aligned. But it says hide me, so I'm gonna hide them. Right? Lots of purple, lots of violet, Enigmandra style, crazy bits of detail here. And spooky pumpkins, love to see it. It's great. A lot of set dressing there, tons of to look at. Now, it's kind of interesting because I'm curious to know who's doing C14. Let me look up the sheet here. C14 is Hollywood. Hollywood again. I feel like you're making a pick. Yeah, you're appearing in pretty much every episode. That's pretty crazy. And so whatever Hollywood has on the right, it's going to split the theming. And I think that'll be kind of cool because you'll come through here and it's like purple on one side and something on the other. I expect to see a lot of nice purple hues on this at nighttime. Let's go and check it out. Oh, not so much. A little bit on the green. A little bit of purple there, some green, a little bit of purple here. Very soft, subtle lighting, and a blue one. Yeah, it's a good contrast, a nice variety, not like 100% purple like I expected it to be from Enigmandra. Pretty awesome build. So a little bit more scattered throughout on this episode here, even though I'm like working down the list. Everything's a little bit everywhere. Yeah, we went and did the station here, we jumped over here, we did one here, two here, and we're just bouncing around all over the place. So all right, I'll take it. It is what it is, isn't it? I got the builder sign in for Warmgar, right? So we need to do some builder signs over here and there, and then we can call it a day, I think. Give some final thoughts. Hey, look, Toroskan. Didn't we just feature Toroskan as the builder for one of these? That's funny. Starport 55. There you go, buddy. I might as well go back over here and grab Toroskan's build. So Toroskan did this live music little greenhouse thingamajig, and then they also did crap. Okay, it was the spooky ruins. I guess, yeah, it might not hurt to like look at these while you're passing through. I think that would be like the smart move to do. And then who is the next build? I should probably do these builder signs immediately because I'm like, what plot was this? And I lose the plot. You're losing the plot, Johnny. We'll put it right in the pumpkin field, I guess. Right in the pumpkin patch. And this one was Branjo, right? Branjo. And I can't select it. There you go. Brangerini. And then we're gonna grab this bit, and we got who's this guy over here? Silent Moose. Got the Silent Moose over here doing moose stuff. Silent Moose 67, you're in. Welcome to the park. And then Enigmandra. Maybe put the little sign here. You can see it as you pass by. This is kind of a fun way of doing it. Having all of the signs and set pieces as a part of the ride, and you get to kind of like go by and see everybody's names and who did what from the perspective of the ride, which is kind of fun. Which honestly, I want to talk about that just real quick as a side note. We got a lot of behind the scenes. I just was talking about this in Discord, and this is what I typed out. Based on how this project went, I could see this concept working again in a future in a much, much more simple way. Plots, 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 and that's all. No passing around the park, no drawing 1,000 characters, none of these custom TMTK guys like this is what I'm talking about. Chant drawing them all, batch cutting them out, da-da-da-da-da. You know, we have custom music in partnership with the Bitter Elegance, voice acting on rides. Like, we would went over the top of this park. It's beyond anything we've ever seen in a park spotlight before. So just plots planned out with various themed in areas like we've seen with this. Just imagine a whole park with just plots. Open up like 500 of them to the community, and we just try to see how fast we can make a theme park. With that, who was it? Toroscon. Speak of the Toroscon, the creator that built this and the other one down here. They said, yeah, the plot system is great, especially with the alignment cubes. I liked how some of the plots were made into rides / coasters, as well as non-building things like beaches, and it makes for some really great variety like this. And I 100% agree. Then Batch chimed in and said, yup, Batch did well. Yeah, no, you did do well, Batch. I've already patted you back 1,000 times. You don't need to pat yourself. But called out. No, you did actually. And not only did you do a good job for the first time around, you know, when we started this, I had a plot, I had an idea, then Warmguard kind of shaped it in, and then we had some stuff, and then Batch came in and refined it and made it better. So Batch was working with something that was already there with some very restrictive rules and set ideas, and then kind of like knew that I wanted these World Fair plots around the outside, but went ahead and not only incorporated it for the contest that I had in mind, but some additional small ones around it as well, and sort of like shaped up these areas, which wasn't really originally planned. The original plan was just to have like this whole area would be like a World's Fair contest. We put the best one in. But now it became like a community project with the contest centerpiece being the contest winners. All that being said, Batch only really got to practice his level design block out kind of skills on these like little World's Fair areas. The main city was generally laid out, like he did add and rearrange things, but he was under some constraints and working with what was already existing there with the requests and visions that I already currently had. So moving into these other areas, you can see how much different he did things, not only learning from what he had done in the past, but learning what my struggles were when actually placing them. So he thought of the alignment cube idea, etc. And while we originally had this idea like, okay, when we do the coaster contest, this was the best way of doing it because, you know, we get to see who had the best prototype, and then we pass them the park and they get it in. These are long exploration coasters with mega amounts of detail and tons of different things in them that the only way to do that is to pass someone the park file, right? So I don't regret the way we did things, but there's a lot to learn from it. And going forward, when I was like, oh darn, we didn't get a Tiki coaster or we didn't get Gulpy coaster, and those are things that I wanted and not something that I really wanted to pass the park around again. Same with like Zayforce coaster. He just asked me one day, hey, can I build a coaster? And I passed in the park. What we have instead is these Gulpy plots. It's like you have to use this coaster and this is your plot. And we did the same thing for Tiki. So all that to bring it all back around, this is a great idea for the future where instead of like passing around the park or whatever, like we create an island or a set of islands and, you know, we create a landscape, much like we did with Candyland or anything that you can see here, and it's completely barren. And then we just block it all out, cubes, and then everybody has to build their cube, and voila, you have a park. But within that, we sprinkle in flat rides, we sprinkle in coasters, we sprinkle in theming that is the scenery for a log flume or coaster, random beaches, random parks, random little things. It's not just plots for buildings, it's random scenery doodad, random coaster, random, you know, flat ride, and we could do that with like random dark rides. And I think doing it that way, you know, the recent Project PlanCo, what we're seeing here today, we're running up to like an 8 to 10 month project now, which, you know, is taking a lot longer and has grown. If we look at the park, it's literally end to end to end. We have some space over here and that's about it. Like the entire map is covered end to end. I did not expect it to keep growing and growing beyond its initial layout that was this big. So to my point is, if you make all the plots, if you make a few islands, a mountain, and a few extra things, and then you do the plots, it doesn't get any bigger. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. And rather than people taking the park to go build these expansive, massive exploration coasters, they just make compact little coasters that are plopped in, right? With the theming, blueprint coasters, blueprint this, blueprint that. And then it becomes a blueprint park. It wouldn't be as fascinating as Project PlanCo in terms of its, music quality, its audio, its characters, its designs. There's a lot of things that make this park very, very special. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't regret doing anything. I'm very happy that we've gone this far, and I'm actually enjoying the amount of scope creep that the project has suffered from, regardless of the frame rate and all of that stuff. Overall, all things, is this turned out to be an amazing project. But what I can take from this is, how could you take the building blocks of the things that we learned, condense it down, and make like quicker, fun, contest style park spotlights or community driven parks where it's just a bunch of plots and we're not like as picky about them. We're not as, we don't have as many rules. We don't have as many park count limits. There's no restrictions. Anything goes, and see what that would look like, right? And I think this goes to show, like, as a template of what can be done in the future and how quickly we could build a park if we stripped away all of the complexities that made Project PlanCo take so long, like these exploration, voice-acted, musical-driven rides and coasters, right? That's what really drove this over the top. Giant concert stage with triggered events that line up to a music with a movie that animation that we made, and all sorts of crazy things that we've done that we went over the top on. If you strip all that away, you would still have a pretty cool park, right? So it's like that I said earlier, usually the last 10% is 90% of the work. We did that 10% first. We went in like, got to get the audio done, we got to get the characters, got to do the TMTK, we got to do that. We got all the hard stuff done first, and now we're just kind of like filling in. So it's the home stretch. And that being said, if you just went with plots and you stripped it all away, I think you could bang out these really cool parks that are, very fun, not nearly as crazy as this, but awesome. But you could do it in like a month, right? And I think that would be kind of fun because you would just get to see more plots for more people. Because I already see people in Discord saying, T-Rex Gaming just said, all the plots are already taken. I call it dibs on one that opens up. And there's probably not going to be one that opens up. The plots were available for a week, but some people don't check in for a week and they miss out. If there were many, many, many more plots, I think, and it was just like rapid fire projects, it would be a lot of fun. I know with Project PlanCo, there's so much buzz around it when it first launched. And for the second wave, it was a little bit slower. People seeing what it's all about and they're getting a little bit bored and they want something new and exciting, right? I guarantee you if we launched another project like this in the future that was more simplified, but like, smaller scope, just here's what it is, see how fast we could build it, get everyone on board, it would turn out to be cool. So again, props to Batch for coming up with this concept and improving upon it for the second round. I too really like how these plots that we put in today are basically the set dressing for a ride. And I think that's a really fun concept. And throughout the way you can build a park using the plot system that we're seeing here, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. We've seen it with Plancoville, we've seen it with other things, and even the way we did it for the city has changed for the way we're doing it with the other areas. There's many different ways to do it, and Batch played around with a little bit of all of them. And I feel like, it's kind of opened up my mind to how this can be played as a multiplayer experience, right? And as we saw from all this, Shedmire that I recently featured the other week was all plot-based shed thing that evolved from a shed that was made for this park. I think it was like, if I could find it, this little guy over here had something to do with Shedmire. It's one of these. I don't know. Is this like shed back here or something? Something had something to do. And if we go in here, I believe that there's Shedmire recruitment office with some sheds inside. It's funny. So that Shedmeyer collab was another example of how you could do these plot systems as a community and build a park very, very quickly. And that's where I think this episode here today and this discussion that I just kind of was talking about, people should take this and do it. You know, just plot everything out, get the community to help build it, and that's how we should do it, rather than, you know, that's how people like MKP should be doing it. Rather than getting an MKP park once every year or two, I could be getting one every 3 months. Because they're like, this is what I need built, go. And that's how we should be doing it as a multiplayer game, because man, it pains me when I read these Park Spotlight introductions where the guy's like, I've been working on this for 7 years and I'm finally finished. And you know, here we are, we did the plot system and we got it done in like 8 months. This park's incredible though. So random tangent as always from me. There you guys have it though. Some awesome spooky builds here today. King Ghoster's spooky area is finally coming along, and I'm very happy with what I'm seeing here in today's episode. So we're probably going to switch it up. I think I've done one of everything so far other than the Christmas. Except for this area, right? So maybe we can go over to Tiki Island next, see what we got going on there, as long as I have enough to do a full episode. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Lots of different tangents, lots of talking points in this one here today, but we did manage to get a bunch of really good spooky builds in, and they all looked pretty awesome. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Project PlanCo. Everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye now.